Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High-quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network, online at www.mybcsn.net, and on the BCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together we can be the change.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Brian Cole.
Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Live with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. As you see, Mike Washington is playing hooky today and out on assignment, but we got Charles Bishop back in the house. We'll have another guest join us a little bit. I'm going to keep that as a surprise as he did some breaking news yesterday, and now it's confirmed. So now y'all can really believe, because all y'all were questioning the other day. We'll see how that goes with that saying, but you know how we live. Welcome to episode 199 of Inside the HBCU Sports Live radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports, institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live, KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Charles, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Dr. Bill. It's good to be back in the lab with all our lab listeners and getting back into the Lord HBCU athletics and sports business.
Yeah, but we're going to take it out of that. We're going to Major League World Series. You know, there's a tie, Atlanta Braves, you know, HBCU players. God, when you talk about the series they had with FAMU and Grambling earlier. And so you have many ties there to HBCU over the years. But first, were you able to go to the game yesterday?
I did not go to the game yesterday,
Good.
But I was.
The Astros won.
I know, right?
There, so now we understand who was the lucky rabbit foot. You were there on Tuesday, so they won. So tell us about that experience on the serious side.
Oh, it was tremendous. To get an opportunity to go to my first World Series game and then a team that you grew up rooting for with the Atlanta Braves taking on the Houston Astros, of course. But since become a Astros fan, especially with Dusty Baker at the helm of the Houston Astros. But tremendous experience to get an opportunity to take it all in Of course, I grew up playing baseball all the way up until Jackson State. Then the Plaza grabbed me, but I've maintained my loyalty in terms of being a baseball fan. So I love the sport, and to actually take in the penultimate experience with the World Series, that was a lot of fun.
No doubt about it. When you talk about baseball, we really go into the spring part of it. We go into baseball. Mike and yourself, Mike, sons played baseball all the way through. You played some baseball. You covered baseball, big fan. We've gone to the SWAC tournament multiple times over the year, called some games here and there. So, it's not like it's something new to us. So it's big. And I was excited to have you have that opportunity. Shout out to your mom. Great gift.
Yes.
Yes, man. They just find ways to make you just roll over and be like, I didn't see that one. You think you just got them in play. They find some way just to let you know, I got you.
I know, right? How about that? So that was really cool.
That was really cool. But to bring this full circle, to come back to the HBCU side of things, as a professor on the show, Professor Bishop, adjunct professors, full-time professor, whatever, in HBCUs, when the student athletes are really anybody associated with doing things on behalf of the university, they get a pass. You send out a note and say, hey, these students are excused for your absence. So I just wanted you to know I did fill out the form and send it in to the provost to make sure that you were good to go. So
I appreciate that, Doc.
You will have to make up the work, and you'll make it up today on the show.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Looking forward to it.
We have none other than the Steve Gaither. We was trying to buy a little time to get him set up and let him come on in. So we got some news that we will get into. He broke some news the other day, like he finds a way to always do. He could send me one of them stool pigeons and kind of let me know, but I understand the game. Got to be out there. We're going to get on the level. We can tell me. I promise. I hold it. I get a lot of it. I can't tell it, so you can tell it. With that being said, we're excited at the fact that you were able to break the news and continue to do what you do from that. And it was to those that do not believe in Black institutions and Black networks, I guess we can say it was confirmed to some way today because a white institution put it out there. But that's another story. I'm not going to beat up on folks like that. Before we get into that story, because we're going to take a little deeper dive before we get into the second half of the show where we get into band, marching sport, which I really would like to get your framework because you cover the D2s, CIAA, SIC as well. So you can give us a little different perspective. So I'm going to see how you grade my poll ranking. Now, don't forget, I do control the mic and all these kind of things. And you want to invite back, so watch yourself. Be careful now. No, just kidding. Tell the truth. Get out there. Let me shout out for these folks and give these folks a love, the reason why we do what we do. Before we get into some news of the day, Ricky Burton is here. In terms of that, Chuck Hunt, Troy Lamont Coleman, and still but hurt Aggies in the house. That's real talk. I like it. I love people that take it, that they give it, but they can also take it. I like that a lot. Willie Alex Hine, good evening, everyone. The CIAA invading the lab. Yeah, y'all are in the house, as always. I appreciate it. We got a resident expert in here. Mary Allen, hello, everyone. No doubt about it. Karen Griffin is always making sure we get it going in the lab. What else we got before we get back to it? Jay Motts, Ricky Burton, as I said, Lonnie Shaw, Willie Mack, G. Boom Holly. Yeah, that's our cameraman. He keeps us going and make sure that all our social media platforms are going good. Shout out to G. Boom Holly. Chad Cooper. Man, y'all got a tough one. Y'all gonna surprise the world down there in Tallahassee? Kimberly Reynolds, president of previous president of the National Alumni Association. Let me get that correct. Ended her term as she did a wonderful job doing that tennis business, but she's still staying involved as you would imagine and make sure things continue to go forward in so many different ways. W. Sherman Miller. With that, we'll come back and do some more shout outs. Let's go into this hot news of the day. You broke some news yesterday talking about that Howard University potentially could be looking at the CAA. Now it comes out some news, and you said some other schools didn't put them out at the time. You're talking about the VA, but now it looks like they're talking about Howard and Hampton. Tell us, what was the framing of that story and why was it important to get it out there and get in front of the people?
Well, first off, Doc, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I watch every show. I'm always in the comments, so it's always good to get on and be on with you and your esteemed colleague, my esteemed colleague, Charles. But yeah.
Before you get into it, let me give you a shout out there. Your comment game is high. Comment game is high. There's a couple of folks that can work with you and they bring it really good, but your comment game is high. A couple of other folks I'll give a shout out to have good comments throughout the show, but appreciate you bringing it like you do. Go ahead.
I appreciate a one-liner here and there, but yeah, basically, so a couple weeks ago, some folks that are in the industry that really cover realignment asked had I heard anything about Howard, and at that point I hadn't. But this was a couple weeks back, and they were saying that they were having some level of talks with the CAA. Dr. Frederick was recently the head of the chancellors and presidents in the MEAC. He transitioned. That transition happened back in July, where the now former South Carolina state president was there temporarily until he was exited. And now North Carolina Central's president, a chancellor.
Ken Yearly. Yep.
Right. So so it's been a couple months now. We saw him at the forefront back in 2020 when they lost to 3 schools and really being out there in the forefront. But he's been kind of laying back in the background. And obviously, Howard has a lot of things going on as a university right now. So really kind of gone under the radar. But it's been something that's, been brewing at least since, I heard about it as far back as the night when they played Morgan State. So it's kind of been on the back burner. But, you hear a lot of things and some stuff, you hear it and it just kind of floats in the wind. But you hear it again from somebody else who again knows, and it starts to hold a little bit more weight. And then the news came out earlier this week with the exit of JMU that's impending. You're seeing these dominoes start to shake here in the mid-Atlantic, upper South, in MEAC territory, but also in CAA territory, in Big South territory as well. So, that news came out, and the sources that I had were good and solid that there was some level of talks. Nobody's saying that they're going to join right at any time or today or tomorrow, whenever. But they are having the conversation. And, again, as we talk about all the time, at this point in 2021, even before then, but with Texas, Oklahoma, just kind of really just reigniting all that. It's like, was it Pangea? It was one Earth, right? Until it wasn't. So, things are kind of ebbing and flowing. I heard the Howard thing, and in searching, and one of the schools that they were mentioning was Monmouth, who is in the Big South for the CAA North. And so that would obviously impact the Big South football wise to lose, as they're also getting ready to lose Kennesaw State. And so, they're also UNC Greensboro is also in the mix, which is right in the backyard of those Aggies. They share the same city, the same colors. And so I know a lot of UNCG Spartans will be at their homecoming this weekend. So they're kind of tied at the hip a little bit. And then Elon, is in the CAA already. So I kind of started digging on that. A&T says that they're not talking to anybody. They haven't had any official talks. But again, as we know, and people who do this, talks occur all the time. Whether or not they'll happen, you never know. But again, with the exoduses that we've seen over the last couple of years, I think anytime there's talk with any HBCUs or especially particularly in the MEAC, but then again, we'll see what happens with the Big South. I think we should always at least kind of know what's going on so nobody's caught unaware as we have been previously.
Yes, one of the key words that I want the lab lecturers to know is plausible deniability. Plausible like deniability. You've seen this at the professional level when you have players that have their advisor, for lack of better words, that will do the talking. That way they can always say, no, I did not talk. Now your representative talk. That's no different with commissioners of a conference or athletic directors. They'll circumvent it and let somebody else that they trust do the talking and do all the work until it's ready. And then they officially do it by then. And then you find out that it's real and they're talking about it. Now they can say yes, but then anytime else you ask them now, a news source like Steve Gaither will ask them, they can say, no, we have not, meaning I have not officially talked, but that doesn't mean their best friend over here that's assigned to that has taught. So you got to understand some of these key buzzwords with that. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We're going to get into marching poll, but we will carry on with this just a little bit because I want to give a framework update, give Charles a chance to give his framework on this, and then we'll get back to it. So stick with us. This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll be right back at this break. In terms of this breaking news that Steve broke yesterday, that's why I'm calling it breaking news, in terms of what I call conference churning and how it continues to churn. Nothing is imminent. We want to make sure we make that clear here, but it is not just nothing. There is something going on here, and our responsibility at this point is to make sure that our constituents know as much as we can provide them at a given time. Stick with us with Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll be right back after this break with Charles and Gaither. We have the visiting professor, adjunct Stephen Gaither in the house tonight.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service with Slow Burn. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge featuring a meticulous curated collection of premium cigars. It's more than a mobile lounge. It's an environment and an experience rich in history, luxury, and personality. An elegant extension of any celebration occasion. It's the perfect escape and meeting place, a space where you can relax or enjoy a shared passion. Have Slow Burn plan your next big event, or before you are planning to celebrate your win over your athletic rival, you can shop our collections at www.slowburnwaco.com.
But if they want to tab, I'ma do the dab, yeah. Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, yeah. And who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We have none other than Professor Stephen Gaither in the house. I might have to send him some cigars for the way he's working his magic and getting it done all around time, all the time. Slowburnwaco.com. Check it out. Get it going. With that being said, I want to jump back in here real quick before we get into the marching polls. I did want to give you some chance to kind of comment on this from this framework, but let's kind of level the field a little bit. If the things go the way they are, you're not talking about the CIAA. Everybody wanted to fold on the MEAC and thought the Big South was doing things. But if you're talking about Hampton and Monmouth, now we already talked about the fact that, don't forget, the Kennesaw State had already decided it was going north. Alabama was going to the Sunny Atlantic. So you're talking about 5 schools football-wise in the Big South. That would be 5 schools in the MEAC. Now, a lot of folks will fall apart on the MEAC. But one thing to consider about this is the MEAC is not looking for a automatic bid in terms of football. Now, you can talk about scheduling issues and things of this, but they have a great contract that signs them up that gears their champion. Hell, it could be 2 teams for all that it matters to make sure that they meet the standard of the contract that they send to the Celebration Bowl. They would be good and be eligible for that money. Now, there may be some clauses we are not aware of in the contract that has a minimum threshold of teams. I hadn't heard anything about that. So let me be clear in terms of what that means. And you got to remember, in basketball, which is where you really have your money, and the threshold in terms of the automatic bid is 6, they still would be at 7. So they still wouldn't be in danger from that side. So when you roll all that together, you know, how do you feel about that, Charles, in terms of what the landscape could look like if something like this would go down based on that additional information I shared with you, Charles?
Well, that's actually the $1 million question that I was going to ask, because I think for the layperson, they always ask, you know, when with regards to conference churning, when something starts happening in one conference, you see this domino effect happening over here in this other conference. So that's what I wanted kind of laid out in terms of the potential dominoes. We get the story with regards to Howard talking to the CAA, but you have this movement happening in a completely different conference. So if you could, for our listeners, just kind of lay out the potential of what we could be looking at.
Well, when you look at it like that, you still have the issue with the OVC being at 6. You have the Southland being at 6. You have the Atlantic Sun at 5, right? You have the WAC at 5. They have another program going to Division II moving up, so it's essentially at 6. You would have the Big South move down to 5, which means over a 2-year period, if they don't get back up, they would lose their automatic bid in football to the playoffs. Sun Atlantic, that's why Sun Atlantic in the WAC, to give you an example, that's why they did an agreement this year, because both teams only had 5 teams that were eligible for the playoff. So they came together and created a united front such that that united front could get an automatic bid to the playoffs at the FCS level. So that tells you how big it is in terms of what that looks like. And then you would have the MEAC go to 5 teams. But again, it's important for people to contextually understand that for the SWAC and the MEAC, they are not looking for an automatic bid to the FCS playoffs. So the standard of being at 5 programs is not as important. Now, there is a caveat that we've seen this in terms of baseball, which is an issue for the MEAC in terms of the period. To stay Division I, you need a number of certain sports to be played, and that threshold is 6. So in some cases, the Big South and the MEAC would be in trouble over a 2-year period. So those are some things that you must consider when you look at that in terms of that. Before we get into March's, I did want to give Stephen Gaither, since he broke this, to find a way if he wanted to provide, you know, a final comment in terms of some of the things that I just laid out from his perspective and based on what you've heard.
Yeah, I think the main thing is people just need to understand, especially here on the East Coast where I am, that this stuff is it's gonna get, this is just the way of the world right now, and probably going forward at this point. I think you know, we're probably going to see you know, again, you talk about baseball with the MEAC, you know, that is something that they're going to have to address. Norfolk State as a baseball school. You know, one of the baseball schools up north, and their programs coming along, you know, how, you know, keeping the membership happy. And also, you know, I didn't get a chance to ask this question with newly conference commissioner-elect Sonia Steele, but I was going to ask about, you know, finding additional sports to add. You know, you look at a Howard, they are already in the NEC in a number of different sports because they're in sports that the MEAC does not offer. And obviously, it just makes it simpler when everybody can be under the same umbrella, just like they were in the SWAC for women's soccer at one point. So, you know, I think for the MEAC, that's going to be a question to answer. Like you said, they don't have to worry about the automatic bid, but just keep doing what they can to keep the membership happy. You know, Howard has a big stick now. You know what I mean? So if you can maybe get some other schools to get into some of those sports that they have and keep them as close to you as they can, because the more you're together, you can forge relationships, and the easier it would be, in my estimation, for them to make any type of jump. So I think it's going to be important to see that how many schools can get on the same page about same sports, even if everybody doesn't do it. You know, you want to make sure that you're competitive. And I thought it was really interesting today how Sonia Steele the new commissioner-elect, is really focusing on academics. I know you talked to her. Your question on that, positioning themselves as the Elite Eight and saying, yeah, we want a lot of school. I know a lot of schools are. People put them in and say, hey, you guys should add them, this, that, and the third, but there's a specific fit that they're looking for. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if they continue to spell out what that fit is for future membership, and as well as retaining the membership that they have and giving benefits, outside of just the field of competition.
Great point. Great points there. Let's shift into this marching sport, as we like to get into it. And if we have a little time on the back end, we might dive just a touch and see if there's some questions from those listening in. I know they're churning and getting that information out there. So with that, let's get into the top 10 of the marching sport. Let's see what's going on there. You have those teams just dropping out. You have Miles that dropped out of this week, which meant North Carolina A&T, blue and gold marching machine. Miles Golden Bears took an L last week, and it pushed them out to some degree. But we'll see how things continue to move. At number 10, North Carolina A&T blue and gold marching band, 1-1. They were not ranked last week. They jumped into the poll. At number 9, Alabama State mighty marching Hornets, 2-2, 0-2, but their losses are to the top team, or top bands, as I like to call them, teams as well, because it's marching sport, right? Which has allowed them to stay at number 9. Alcorn State, the Sound of Dynamite bands, 3-0, 2-0, 222 points at number 8. They take on a top 5 team. Some people say they in the top 10 because of their matchups. They happen to be 3-0, but it gets a little tighter as they go into the second half of the season, not only on the field in terms of football, but in terms of the field and in the stands. And after the game, in terms of the fifth quarter, it should be interesting in the next couple of weeks, starting this Saturday. At number 7, Kentucky State mighty marching Thoroughbreds, 4-0. They took down Miles College. That's why Miles College got out of it. This mighty bunch of band members are small, but they're loud. Remember, they have the D1 upset over Tennessee State and the Aristocrats early this year, getting it done. But they stay at number 7, but they continue to win. Dropping out of the top 5, Prairie View, A&M, Marching Storm, 2-1, as they took a hit to Southern on the road. Kept it close, but couldn't get over the hump in terms of that. That's the bottom 5 teams as we close out the top 5. Let's get in the top 5. I see twisting and turning Charles Bishop over there at number 5. Norfolk State, the Spartan Legion marching band, 2-1, 6-7 points. They drop up one spot. Big time for them. They get it done as they continue to move up the charts, both in football and in the marching sport. At number 4, Bethune-Cookman, the marching Wildcats, 2-0, 7-0. They move up one spot. Hadn't had a lot of matchups. We'll see what that does to them as the season prevails. It's going to be hard to stay in the top 5 if you're not bringing your band around and having competition. We talk about wins and losses. You got to get in there. At number 3, Southern Human Jukebox, 4-0, undefeated, 2-0. Got another SWAC conference win. Narrow, not quite like what the football team did, but they got it done. 2 first place votes, so they added first place votes, 82 points. They do drop down a spot. At Jackson State, the Sonic Boom of the South, 4-1, 2-1, 2 first place votes, 83 points. They jump up, big victory as they continue to do things and get it done. At number 1, Florida A&M, the marching sport, 4-0, 2-0, 4 first place votes, 90 points. They just keep holding on. They have some bands coming to them. I think Grambling is supposed to come. Should be interested to see what that happens this week. Then you had an end of season. That big Florida Classic. We'll see. Can they hold on to number 1? It looks like Jackson State keeps easing up, finding that first battle that was so close they got done. Can they find a way to leap up? With that, let me go to you first, Charles, and then I'm going to save the next comments for Stephen Gaither so he can add in a little bit about the Division II bands that we should also focus on maybe a little more. Even though I've given some love, but they got to come with it now. You got to win. You got to have matchups. You got to get on the road. You got to support your team. You got to have band march. You can't get in here just in no poll and people voting because you can get a whole bunch of folks to support you. It don't work like that. That's wrong poll. Go to the other place if you want them kind of polls. Charles, what do you thought?
You know what, Dr. Phil? You know how I am about bands that don't show up. You know, if it's marching sport, I need to see a competition. Bethune-Cookman, I don't know how long y'all can stay in that top 5 if y'all aren't competing and getting on the road and taking on some bands. You know, Jackson State had a gimme this weekend, so it's like, okay, I'll let them stay there. But I tell you what was interesting was the nice little matchup with Prairie View and the Human Jukebox. And I you know, everybody knows me. Everybody knows I'm a Jackson State guy, but my God, that jukebox is just on another level. That jukebox is on another, and you know, it's something when you got former Sonic Boom alums, like, you know what, that jukebox, they the truth. They done evened out that sound. So I just want to see how the Boom and jukebox, how they kind of shape up for this huge one coming up in a couple of weeks. So that was going to be interesting.
I like this one. This is a previous band head. G Boom Holly puts out there. Ain't no way PV lost to Southern with putting up a losing score at the half. Oh my God. Did you have to call him up for putting up a losing score? That's the way to look at it. He is a former drum major, so I give him a little credit on that. Let me go to Steve Gates there and let me hear his thoughts on the marching sport in my top 10 rankings. What do you say?
This is it can go left right here, you know. I think it can go left right here, you know. I definitely enjoy the bands, and I've gotten to enjoy them more as I get along. I think that, you know, we talk about in the playoff systems and how automatic bid, you know, there's automatic bids. There's no automatic bids in D2 and you know, or in the FCS, having somebody on the committee to be there in the room. I'm gonna advocate for a band in the CIAA. And this is because I've seen this band travel, and, you know, CIAA bands, a lot of times, you know, they're smaller. A lot of that is funding and things like that. And sometimes the travel has been cut down a lot for some bands, but I'm gonna give some love to the Bowie State SOS band because they've been on the road. They've been on the road this year. I've noticed. You know, they came down to Salisbury to take on Livingstone College, which is probably a 6-hour bus ride, 5.5, 6-hour bus ride. So they've been there. They were last week. They made the trip down, not quite as long a trip, but the trip to Virginia Union. So I want to get a Bowie State SOS. Them.
I like it.
Nice. That's dope. I like that.
You know, of course, my
Rams. 12 man.
My Rams, you know, I think they made it. The rest of the Sound made it on the road to North Carolina Central. I would say they got the win there. You know, I would say they got the win there. I don't think they got any points for that one, but yeah, I would say Bowie State out of the CIAA. Virginia State is always usually pretty solid. But I'm gonna advocate for one that isn't up there. But I think I'm gonna call it out. I think there's a little bit of swag bias here. And that's going to be North State University, the Spartan Legion, man.
Spartan Legion, Cole.
Oh, you want higher? You want higher?
I would like to.
Watch up. One of the things I will tell you, I think your point is made, and it's a great point. I will give you much credit for this. What happened to Spartans that got them in a little bit of trouble is when they made an excellent trip down here to Houston, and so 8 bands. The way we did that first poll, and this would be good for those that hadn't heard this yet, and so I'm glad that you bring that up, is there were 4 winners and 4 losers. They were 5. So they got the loss, which bumped them down, and they've been working themselves up. So they kind of come, it's one of those polls.
They got more matchups too now.
So those more matchups is going to give them a chance to continue to fight and show out. So you're ahead of it, as you always are. Breaking the news, catch it. Steve did it again. Norfolk State Spartans getting it done. We'll be right back after this break, Dr. Mills, inside HBCU Sports Lab. We're going to break down some matchups in the second half of the show. Stick with us because we have our experts here that's going to really give you some love and give you some insight on the mid-major division before we close out with the major division. Stick with us. We'll be right back with Professor Bishop and Professor Gator.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. This is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, sitting in as a guest professor, guest lecturer. Mike Washington is none other than Steve Gaither of HBCU Game Day. He continues to put the pen to paper and break it like no one else. But now he gets the chance to talk about it a little bit. And then we have the professor extraordinaire, visiting professor. We gave him a little update in his rank now. Professor Bishop getting it done. With that, let's get right into it. We have our HBCU mid-major homecoming game of the week. You know, usually it's our classic game of the week, but we don't have one on the mid-major side. So we're going to go with the homecoming game. This is in Raleigh, Durham County Memorial Stadium, homecoming. CIAA Johnson Smith Golden Bulls 0-7, 0-5 at St. Augustine 0-6, 0-1. Somebody's going to get a victory. Is it going to be the homecoming or homegoing? Stephen? You got to find a way to make this sound exciting. How you going to do that?
Man, you know, a couple weeks ago, you know, Johnson C. Smith has been playing football since 1892, and they've been trying to figure it out since then, it seems like. And, you know, God bless them. This ain't the year it's going to happen, you know. My alma mater, Winston-Salem State, we're having a bad year by our standards, but, you know, we always know we can count on Johnson C. Smith for a win. And they did not discourage us. You know, I said, hey, if they don't beat Winston this year, after Shawan scored 73 points on them, they're never going to beat them. And true to form, they did not. And St. Aug did even worse, which is the bad thing. That 41-0 win for the Rams. That offense, they made them look like the greatest show on turf. So, you know, when you look at these two guys, this is somehow the TV game, I believe.
Get out. Wow.
I believe this is the TV game. Hopefully I'm mistaken. I really hope I'm mistaken. I'll be wrong, and I don't like to be wrong. But right, I mean, if you look at them, I mean, right now Johnson C. Smith is scoring 11.9 points a game, which is you know, still almost a field goal better than St. Aug's 9 points per game. And then you look on scoring defense. Johnson C. Smith is allowing 32 a game, and St. Aug is allowing 36. So yeah, the good news is there are no ties in college football. Somebody's gonna win and somebody's gonna lose. There's already been a funeral.
If I forced you to pick it, who will you pick?
I gotta pick Smith. They had a funeral for St. Aug, and they had a funeral. They had an actual live Falcon come into Charlotte today, and so you know, yeah, it was pretty funny on social media. So yeah, I would say that Smith gets their one win of the year against St. Augustine's University. And St. Aug, you know, hey, CIAA basketball season's right around the corner, baby.
Great job, Charles. Any comments you want to make? I know Steve just showed out, but
hey, if Steve say Johnson C. Smith is gonna get the dub, I'm going with Johnson C. Smith on this one. Somebody has to get.
Yeah, so, that means what we call a hashtag protect your homecoming.
Protect your homecoming
this weekend.
Halloween, so it is scary season. So this is about as scary as it gets.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Let's go into this HBCU independent non-conference mid-major division game of the week. It will feature what will become an SIAC matchup, but right now, Edward Waters transitioning. Jacksonville, Florida, Community Field and Stadium. Edward Waters has held them their own and gotten them some SIAC victories, but now they're on to a surging Miles Golden Bears that are trying to find their way into the SIAC championship game. Number 9 ranked Miles Golden Bears, 4-4 on the season, 3-0 in conference where divisional play where it really counts. Against Edward Waters Tigers with the new stadium get it done. Let me know, Professor Bishop, what do you say on this matchup?
A little bit of up and down for Miles, but I still like Miles' defense to get it done against Edward Waters, get going on the road. They've had a couple of surprising losses out there, but I still like to see the Miles Golden Bears. I think they'll go into Edward Waters and take care of business this weekend.
Good deal. Stephen Gaither, what do you say about this SIAC matchup?
Yeah, I am. I've been impressed to a certain extent with Edward Waters, again, coming from the NAIA to D2 as a solid jump up, and they've gotten some wins. They've they've made their presence known. But there's certain games that are child's play and certain play for grown men. And right now with Miles, everything they got on the line, there's no way in the world I'm betting against Coach Ruffin and those guys. Tigers, just hold on to your stripes. Better days are ahead.
Doc,
let me sneak one more in there. Oh, go ahead, Charles.
Coach Ruffin's name is floating out there with a couple of jobs. So I just want to see what Coach Ruffin does the rest of the season.
Yeah, he's in a position that he needs to close out strong because some SWAC schools, FCS programs, if they don't close out strong, they may be knocking on his door. As we say, those back channels may be working right now. You never know how that goes. Yes, with that, I'm going to sneak in one more for you, Steve. I do want to ask you about this. Division II, do you believe that Bowie State Bulldogs out of the CIAA and Albany State Golden Rams, are they going to be able to sneak a playoff bid in terms of a home game? Or do you see an upset in the playoffs? We'll come back and visit a little bit, but just a little cheat notes. What do you think about that, right?
I have no doubt in my mind right now, Bowie State on my life. Not on my life, but if you ask me, I would definitely say Bowie State.
I got
Albany State. I'm kind of scared for them this week. They're playing Morehouse, and Morehouse has got a little swagger in their back. I'm kind of scared.
Interesting.
I'm kind of scared for them. I mean, we know what they can do. You play that big game against.
I like it. Go out.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if it happens, I'm just searches. So but I think
he said, "Hey, I told you what they say." May not be the ultimate upset, but closer than everybody predicted for sure. Dr. Ville's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We'll be right back after this last break, heading into the fourth quarter. Let's go. We'll be back with the major games of the week for the Classic and the non-conference independent matchup. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant. Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell your mama hungry.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Professor Bishop and Professor Gaither. A couple of good comments going in there, talking about Willie Alexander is the coach at Albany State on hot commodity. Yes, Karen Griffin says he should be, along with Langston coach. Another good call. Willie Alexander backs it up and said, and is this the year that somebody gets Coach Wilson and Bowie State away? Great point.
It's time. It's time.
Let's go into the Major Division Classic Game of the Week. Birmingham, Alabama, the greatest tailgate HBCU experience in terms of a classic for sure. It's a bucket list. Magic City Classic, Legion Field, SWAC, Saturday, October the 30th, 2:30. It is on ESPN3. Alabama A&M, 3-3, 1-3 at Alabama State, if you would. Hornets, 3-3, 2-2 in terms of this matchup. Man, it's for bragging rights. Maybe a little more than that as well. I'm gonna be nice. Charles, Bishop, what are your thoughts on the Magic City Classic matchup?
Yeah, this is a tough one to call this year because I was pretty impressed with Alabama State defensively in terms of some of the things that they were able to do to Jackson State in terms of getting to the quarterback a little bit there. But it's just quite a hill to overcome, if you will, for Bama State to climb over Alabama A&M. And this, you still taking a look at A&M being the SWAC's top offense. They're averaging 31 points a game. Quill Glass is still throwing for over 300 yards a game, like 333 yards a game. It's still Gary Qualls. He is second in the SWAC in rushing. So I think it's still a little bit too much offensive firepower for Alabama State. And Miles Crowley, he's going to have to play the game of his life to get this win for the Alabama State Hornets. So I'm going to go with the Bulldogs on this.
Yeah, shout out to President Eugenie and the Alabama faithful that put this video together. Magic City Classic is here. President Eugenie is the Atomic Bulldog. That was fascinating. Coach Maynard was all in it getting done. The AD got a little fun. Omega Sci-Fi, oh man, with his boots on, Eugenie actually did some steps, and the outtake was probably better than anything that you could put together. Shout out to Good Spirits, Good Fun, bringing it. I love it. I got the students involved. Steve Gaither, but as we get back into this matchup, what are your thoughts? Which way is this going?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that the bye week couldn't have come. Well, I'm not gonna say it couldn't have come at a better time. Probably could have came after Charles and them plastered the field. Lit up the scoreboard, did the scoreboard check game. Probably could have came after that, but got FAMU out of the way. So I'm looking to see Alabama A&M bounce back this week. Alabama State's defense is no slouch, but they're not Jackson State and they're not FAMU. So I would say that Alabama A&M gets back on track this week. Finishes out the season strong, playing. They're playing for a lot of pride on the line. So I expect to see them come out looking refreshed and hopefully they'll have their spirits back up.
2ttickets.com. 2ttickets.com. I told you all season long. I know you're going to Magic City. You better put on these masks out here, or at least make sure that you have your shot. Protect other people. It's bigger than you. Alabama State, Alabama A&M. Stephen Gaither, you just say who you going with. You got to pick on the show. Who you got?
I'm going with the maroon team. I don't like maroon, but I'll go with Alabama A&M.
Charles?
Definitely going with Alabama A&M on this. Going with Coach Maynard.
My boy, Dr. Ely is going to be in trouble, man. I hope he can make it work. He got that doctor. I don't want him to come to the faculty ranks quite yet, but man, y'all trying to push the man out. With that being said, let's go into HBCU Independent Non-Conference Major Division Game of the Week. I'm telling you, he might surprise y'all. Don't get it done now. Alabama State finds a way to get it done in a lot of ways, but maybe not so much this weekend. We'll see. Nashville, Tennessee, Nissan Stadium, OVC, Murray State Racers, historically white college is 3-4, 0-2. At number 6, Tennessee State Tigers, 4-3, 2-1. Who the thunk it? Tennessee State Tigers on a winning streak. The bigger question this game may not be who wins it, but it may be in terms of what is the attendance. But that's another question for the day. Let me go back to you, Stephen Gaither, and talk about this matchup. The Racers and Tennessee State Tigers. Who you got in this matchup?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Big Blue. I think we saw Murray State earlier this year, I believe, against Valley. That was them? Good, solid program. But I think Coach George and his staff have there was some talent that was there already. I think they're finding some things that work. Jeremy Hickbottom's had some good games, and they're finding their foot in there at the right time. We saw Coach George talking about the attendance, and obviously when you get those wins back to back, now folks got to come out and support them no matter who they play. I mean, I think that's something that we as HBCUs is just going to have to get in the mode to no matter what, or no matter who we play. If our school is playing at home, we should be there. So we'll see what happens. But I like Big Blue stay on the roll and continue to put the OVC on notice that they're going to be a force.
Yeah.
As long as they're there.
Good point. Good points all there. Although from a marketing perspective, you better learn how to make sure you market to people differently if culturally they're not getting what they expect. So we'll see about that. And people need to consider that when they make these moves in terms of what is your overall aim and what are you trying to get done in terms of branding your institution. With that, Professor Bishop, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I like Tennessee State in this one. Tennessee State, surprisingly to me, they have the top defense in the OVC this year. They've been playing lights out defense. They've been turning teams over, things of that nature. But the work with Jeremy Hickbottom, 10 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. And that was the knock on him at Grambling in terms of protecting the football. He's done a much, much better job of that at Tennessee State. They've worked wonders with him in terms of just him protecting the football. And one thing that I saw with regards to this game, Murray State, a little bit of an up and down team, but Austin Peay just ran through them last week, and Tennessee State has Devon Starling, one of the top running backs in the OVC. So looking for Big Blue to stay on a roll and get the win over Murray State. Should be a nice little win for Tennessee State to keep the momentum going.
So you say they got Austin Peay on, huh?
They got Austin Peay on. Yeah, they did.
Man, y'all crazy. Let's go in here, rapid fire. We don't have to break it down, but I do want to get maybe some cores, which way you're going to lean. Let's start with the Big South with the HBCU programs, Hampton at Robert Morris. Stephen Gaither, who you got in that matchup?
Give me Hampton. Roll with the Pirates.
They're rolling right now. Good one. Let's stick over there with you with the Big South. Monmouth and North Carolina A&T. Who you got in G-Hope?
Monmouth. Halftime.
Oh, wow.
Halftime A&T, Monmouth for the game.
Info.
Yeah, some people say that Monmouth may need to leave on the band, but you're right. They are coming to play football. Different conversation. Charles Bishop staying with Monmouth and A&T, and then we'll back up to Hampton and Robert Morris. What do you got?
Yeah, I definitely got to go with Monmouth. Like I said, to get the football game, A&T to get the halftime show. And then when we take a look at Hampton, Hampton is rolling right now. I expect them to get the W over Robert Morris.
No doubt. No doubt. Good comments. Let's go to the MEAC. Continue rapid fire. Howard versus Delaware State. Howard 2-5, Delaware State 3-4. Sticking with you, Charles. Who you got in this matchup? It's a tough one, maybe.
This is a tough one. I was really impressed. I was impressed last week watching Howard as they took on Norfolk State. Give me the Bison in this one. I like the Bison. I like some of the things they were doing last week against Norfolk State.
Stephen Gaither, you see him pausing over there. Howard, Delaware State, who you got?
I'll take Howard.
Morgan, Norfolk State. I imagine
Morgan
going with this one. You already predicted Norfolk State in the Celebration Bowl. So do they hold the course right now?
I mean, the Bears are hibernating. They're done for the season. Norfolk State in a row.
Yeah, 0-7, 5-2. I stand corrected. I was just giving with you, Charles.
Yeah, the Dawson Legion, they're on a roll. I expect the Fighting Dawsons to go ahead and get the W.
All right, well, let's go to the big game of the week down there. MEAC, according to MEAC, they will have the television program as they do their second game of the week. All games are played in the conference. Fascinating. I like what they're doing with that program of the week. South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. South Carolina State 3-4, as well as Central 3-4. This is a big one. South Carolina State is talking about getting it rolling, but Central got a big win last week. Can Central throw a monkey wrench in all this and go back to what they did earlier against Alcorn State, or will the Bulldogs continue to roll? Charles?
I'm going to go with the Bulldogs. I still like Corey Fields and Shaq Davis in terms of, to me, they're the best quarterback receiver duo in the MEAC. I expect for them to get things rolling, and North Carolina Central is going to have a tough time stopping.
Stephen Gaither, what's your matchup? This is one you said you might be able to sneak over this. You're going to go do the basketball game with Winston-Salem State and Duke. That's a good one to be at. But then you might have a chance to at least catch the end of this. What's going to be on the scoreboard when you get over there to see the end of this game?
I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna go with my North Carolina bias over South Carolina. North Carolina. I think South Carolina State could win this one by a lot, but they made it close with Delaware State. And I think if it stays close and stays ugly, then I definitely favor the Eagles. They like it ugly.
Interesting. I love it. Make it interesting to me already. Let's slip down to the SWAC. We talked about Alabama A&M. Let's go back up to Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Texas Southern. 1-6, Texas Southern 1-5. This might be one of the last chances for Pine Bluff to get a win in terms of the conference race, but they're going to Houston. Texas Southern can put up points. Gaither, what are your thoughts in terms of Pine Bluff and Texas Southern?
For Pine Bluff, I had such high hopes for them, and I think after the second half of that Alcorn State game, they just fell apart. This is a team that counts for Texas Southern, and they'll actually get the win at this one. So,
Charles?
Yeah, injuries have really killed UAPB this past season. When you take a look at some of the weapons they had in the spring, but too much quarterback Andrew Body and Keelan Davis. Keelan Davis is top receiver in the SWAC. He's averaging almost 100 yards per game. Last week he had a big game against Alcorn. So looking for Texas Southern to get another W.
Yeah, you talking about they circled the schedule when this came out in terms of homecoming with FAMU coming into the SWAC. This was a big one. Grambling on the road at FAMU. Grambling comes in 3-4. Florida A&M 5-2, trying to continue to see if they can make a statement for the playoffs if it happens to go their way. Do they get it done, Charles, this weekend against Grambling, who's known to be tricky when people think that they're down? Can they find a way to G-Men to live up to that reputation this weekend, Charles?
No, still a lot on the line for Florida A&M. They're trying to position themselves to get to the playoffs. Too much Bishop Bonnet, too much Jamar Shareed. I expect for the Florida A&M defense to really lock down on Grambling. You can't keep Isaiah Land our quarterback, so I expect for the Rattlers to get to W.
True, very true. Steve Gaither, Grambling FAMU, what you got?
Why not Grambling? I'll tell you why not. Because Grambling's offense, FAMU's defense, and that's not a matchup. I don't see this one.
He's still a young gun. So you say Bowling got a little time. He got to grow up. Get to the SWAC hours. Let's go to the midnight matchup. Alcorn State and Southern, man, clash of the Titans. Been in the SWAC championship game the last couple of years. Southern is falling back, but can they make that last statement home? Can they get it done? I'm gonna start with you, Steve Gaither. What are your thoughts in terms of Alcorn Southern?
I'm just gonna. I picked Southern to win the SWAC at the beginning of the year, and I was wrong. I can admit when I was wrong. Alcorn State just finds a way to win. I think last week they got a lot of confidence pulling away when they hadn't been able to pull away before. So I think gonna be rough on the bluff this week. I think that's how they say it over there at Southern in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, 5-2, 3-4. Charles, what do you say about this matchup?
Dr. Cavil, I can guarantee you this conversation happened this past week in Baton Rouge. One spouse looked to the other spouse. They looked at the schedule, and they asked, do you still want to go to New Orleans? Because I'm not feeling it all of a sudden. So I think that's probably going to be the case. I think Alcorn will go down to Baton Rouge and take care of business. A lot on the line for the Braves, and they're not going to play around with the Jacks this weekend.
Nice one, nice one. Let's shift over to that big Mississippi State rivalry. Jackson State is on the road. Mississippi Valley State. Coach Prime is still on the mend. Staying with you, Steve Gaither. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? Can Valley do the upset of the year? Almost got FAMU last weekend.
They did almost get FAMU. I really like Valley. I really like their coach. I think he should be up for some other jobs in the SWAC as well. But I can't. But I can't go. I can't go. And I enjoyed my visit to Itabena the other week. But I got to go with Jackson State. I just think they get it done. But they're gonna put some pause on JSU. That's for sure.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That offensive line has to protect Shedeur Sanders in terms of this matchup. I don't mean that it's going to be something that will cause them to lose the game, but they have bigger plans in terms of going and getting it done against Southern Alcorn and making a statement all the way to the championship game and hosting it, which will be a sight for many. With that being said, Charles Bishop, the pregame show is going to be in Itabena. Tell us about this matchup and why people should tune into the show.
Valley always plays Jackson State hard. I mean, there's never not a time where Jackson State and Valley is not just going to be an absolute brawl. When we last saw Valley play Jackson State prior to the spring, that game went into overtime, and Jackson State had to have a furious rally in the fourth quarter just to get it to overtime. Coach Dancy always has his teams up for whomever they play, but it's something different. It's a rivalry when you're talking about Valley and Jackson State. Jackson State owns this series literally 60-7, and I can guarantee you, any Valley fan, they can tell you every one of those 7 wins. Because I cried a thug tear back in '84 when Valley beat Jackson State with Willie Tide and Jericho. That still resonates in my soul, 49-32, because I saw Jerry Rice running around all over the place that game. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's going to be a heck of a game. But I just think Jackson State with this defense, this is a defense of yesteryear. I know some of the old head Jackson State football players, they want to hear it. But, listen, this defense is tapping on something that we haven't seen in a long, long time. They lead the nation in sacks. They have 32 thus far. They're number 2 defense in the nation. They just get after the quarterback. But more than anything, what they do is they cut off the run. And I think that's going to be the huge thing in terms of stopping Caleb Johnson's number 6 rusher in the SWAC. But they make you one-dimensional, and they come after the quarterback. So that's what it's going to take for Jackson State to get the W.
Man, Lonnie Shaw showing off. He talking about Houston in terms of Texas Southern was bottom feeding when he was here in the Adam, and they still feeding. Catfish at Texas Southern University. That's not nice, man. That's not nice. Before we do it, let you go. Everybody should know how to get with you, but it wouldn't be fair if we didn't ask you. Tell them how folks can follow you, Steve.
Gotcha. Well, of course, I always follow HBCUGame.com. Go there every day. Click on everything that you can click on. I'd like it if you read it, but even if you don't, I won't be offended. I'm just kidding. So go to the website. And then also, follow us on Twitter, social media, Facebook, TikTok. We're doing a little bit of the TikTok, and then you can follow me at Stephen J. Gaither, Stephen with a V, J. Gaither, Gaither.
No doubt about it. Good job, Reginald Johnson. Charles Bishop, I was in the stadium for that 1984 matchup as well. What a heartbreaking day for the fan base, boy.
Thug tears.
Reginald Johnson. Yeah, he's getting it done. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Live. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watch, Charles Bishop. Special guest today was Professor Gaither. That's Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day. We hope you enjoyed the interview as we get it done and talking about the first part of the show. As he broke the news, we gave you that type of information there. I hope you enjoyed that information as well. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday right here at 6 o'clock, and on Sundays at 9 o'clock a.m. before you head to church or get out for your get breakfast. Check us out. We'll break down all the action that happened that week, particularly the Saturday matchups, as we give you those games of the week that we broke down during the week. We look forward to next week as we continue to discuss the latest in the news. Check us out on Sunday as well. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's DrKenyattacavil. Make sure you download my JVN, my BCSN app. Make sure you check out and follow Charles Bishop. They're giving you all you need at the pregame show, as well as 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast. Dream big and continue to move forward. Time for the quiz. We will talk with you soon. Steven?
Appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah.
Lecture.
Roy, you back?
Lecture.
Dismiss.